Well, it is Sunday morning, 5 a.m., and yeah, it's that time again. And I do have a lot of things to talk about. One of them, of the main things that I like to talk about is some backstory about this picture. Now, about this picture, when I was working as a Japanese teacher and a teacher's aide, I actually drew this picture. And basically, I kind of thought of, back at the time I was working on my stories. And when I was working on my stories, I kind of thought about, what the men in the Dragon Clan were and what the women in the Dragon Clan were. The men were basically the swords and the shield of the women, in which they protected, and in turn, they vowed to give their life for them. So a lot of what I thought about, I kind of put into that picture. Like, as you can see, that's a gun sword. Yes, it's not a gun blade, it's a gun sword. Or a gun saber. And that kind of represents the man, the hero. The rose represents the woman, so therefore, basically, it's all about protection. And in that protection lies the love and devotion of how far a man will go for his woman. So, given the circumstances of what I was working with at that time, I used crayon and marker and pretty much, like I said, I was at work at the time, so given what I was working with, I just basically made this. So yeah, it was, it caught the attention of many who passed by my desk, and I was, doing this for like maybe 15 whole minutes, and this is just something out of my head. So you can tell I was really, really busy. So before you start saying, "Oh, that's a kid's drawing," look, dude, or person, or whoever the fuck you is, don't judge me. Because, like I said, given what I was given, that's what I worked with. And I did it on my free time. So, after paperwork is done, I like to, do a little something after my free time. So, therefore, that's what I did. I mean, I actually did this, and you know what? I'm kind of proud of this picture. And, yes, that's what it's called, love and devotion. It's called Aito Kinshin. Aito Kinshin. That means love and devotion. That's what Kenshin means. Love and devotion. There's a lot I can talk about, but there are a few issues I like to bring to the attention of those who follow me. For one, being an LPer. Being an LPer can be such a pain, it can be such a hassle, and yet it can also be the greatest joy in which can often bring to a person's life. I mean, you can't take this stuff lightly. I mean, for those of us, or many of us who actually have lives outside of gaming, it's not easy. It is not easy trying to hold together what we got and to say, oh, it's been a long day, I don't feel like looking at the computer, I don't even feel like doing this. We could just not do what we do, and at the certain, what we do around the world, we could either work and just go to bed after we come in, or go out, or whatever. But it's simply not easy being an LPer, because we got to deal with people. Even though I'm not a very well-known LPer, you constantly feel like you have to do so many games in so little time, and with the time that you have, you gotta do parts, and the parts are something to deal with because you gotta deal with the software, you gotta deal with your headset, you gotta make sure that the sound runs, you gotta make sure this is going and that's going, and that's not easy. That is really not easy. I mean, to be perfectly honest, that is never easy. I mean, for those of us who actually have to go through certain games, whether they are simple, whether they are hard as hell, or whether they can just be a pain to deal with, it's not easy being LPer. I can tell you that right now. I've only put in like 2 years experience. I've only went through like maybe 3 different game controllers. And like I said, I started off the same way as anybody else did. I started off actually doing playthroughs first, and yet I called it a let's play. I mean, you saw me play it, therefore you watched it. That's all I got. And then after that, I started getting bolder and started becoming more, in a word, vocal, as you hear me now. And it really is a hard thing to be an LPer, because technically you deal with people. They expect you to do certain games. They want you to do this certain game, whether it's bad or whether it's good, or whether it's something that they did as a playthrough and done as a suggestion. And for some reason, there have been a few people who come to me saying, well, I want you to do this game, and I would kindly tell them, no, I won't do this game. And I give them reason. Simply put, it's not my forte. I don't really do games that don't really give me like anything to work with. I gotta have something to work with. It's like anything else. It's like if you're at a job, you need something to work with. If you're working in a bakery and you're the one doing the cakes, you need the equipment to do the cakes. Or if you're like me, you're a writer or an artist, you need the proper equipment to make sure that this works, that you have no worries that it won't fuck up on you when you use it, and make sure it's just working properly. It's kind of a hard thing sometimes when you're an LPer and you put in so much effort and so much time and so much energy into doing certain different games that people want you to do. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. The day in which a company asked me to do one of their games, I basically just squeed. On the inside, I could just, I was squealing because I was so excited. And the fact that I was so excited about it, it's just a thing. I was like, oh my god, this company wants me to do a game, and I'm like, I only saw this game being done once, and I'm actually kind of excited. It's just like, oh, not like I'm having an orgasm, but I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just so awesome. I mean, not that many people would, flock to me because I'd done a certain game, and, they asked me to do a certain game, and I say okay to it. Just what do I need to know? I mean, it's a good feeling, and yet it's a scary feeling at the same time when you're trying to do certain games for certain people. And thus I bring up something that I talked about last week, or the week past that, which was the LP curse. Now, the LP curse is, in short, when you deal with a game that you've played before, and you know it front to back, but when you start to record yourself doing it, somehow you feel nervous, or you feel that your skills are dulling because you have not worked on this game for so long, or you've been away from this game for so long, and therefore it is dubbed the LPers curse. I debunked that, saying that it's not really a curse. It's mainly, if anything else, just, well, in a word, pressure. I mean, really, it's just pressure. You just don't know how far you're going to take it, but yet you're kind of worried if you did it right or not. So it's usually that sort of thing, and yeah, I gotta make sure this is loud so the mic can pick me up. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of that. It's kind of like that, though. And I may want to get myself a new headset. I'm not sure. I may want to. Seeing that I'm going in and out sometimes. I mean, for some reason, I don't know why it does that. It's just been doing that for some time. But anyway, I mean, there are plenty of things that I can really mention, but it's like I said, it's kind of like this. It is one of the most fulfilling jobs that it's not really a job, but it's something that you could do during your time. And yet it could be the most fulfilling, and yet the most tiring at the same time. Fulfilling because you're doing these games during your own free time, and you're not on anybody's schedule. You're actually doing this because you want to do it. You feel you need to do it, or you just want to do it. And it's just out of personal preference that you do it. So out of that, you want to do something like this. I mean, I've done games for people, and they're kind of, and I didn't ask them, but I did it because I watched it being done, and I said, oh, well, I could do better. I know I could do better. So usually it's just like that. I usually think, okay, well, seeing that this person did this, well, I could do it for this person. They don't ask me for, they don't, I mean, certain people, they just don't ask me, how did I do this and how do I do that? I said, no, I did it just because I know how to do it. I played this game before. I know how to deal with it. It's just that simple. I mean, for me to actually do something like the stuff I do, that's 2 years. I mean, seriously, that is 2 years. And what you can do in 2 years, that's a lot. I mean, really. I mean, most LPers, they would do, I mean, the stuff that they do, it'd be like for like 1 or maybe 2 years. And they might have been, they might have been greenhorns. They just, got into the business, so, they're still kind of working it out. And then you got people like me who basically have the innate ability to do like 3 or 4 different parts, and after the 4th part, after 4th part, I'm done. I'm done for the night. Now I'll see you tomorrow. That sort of thing. I mean, for what it's worth, though, the games that I do, I don't think other people would want to do, because there are certain games that say, oh, well, I don't like it, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? Because I'm playing this game the way I play it, not because of what you want it to be done. You never said anything about this, and you never said anything about that, so why are you coming toward me with all this malice and all this hatred and all this whatnot? Stupid. And I mean, really, it's like this. On my end, what people don't know is it takes a lot of mental energy. To me, it does take a lot of mental energy to do the games that I do. I mean, there are certain things that people can't. I mean, there are certain games that people won't do because they just don't have the energy for it. I strangely have the energy for said games, like strategy games. Yeah, I will play a strategy game, no problem. I will put down like at least 3 different map battles, or maybe 4 different map battles, and they might be out of two stages, just because it happens this way and it happens that way, and you're going through this, and I don't mind doing it. It's not a problem. I mean, it's kind of therapeutic to me. But aside from that, I can pull it off. It's not really a problem as long as I know how to do it in intervals. It's like that's what I'm doing with Super Robot Tyson Original Generation 2. I'm doing it in intervals because I tried doing that with long battles, and for some reason, whenever I do a long battle, it kind of wears on me. So that's why I'm doing 2 battles instead of 1 whole battle, because this way I do 1/2 of it, take a break, save, then come back and do the rest of it, and make sure that the sound is on when I'm recording. To me, it takes a lot of mental energy just to come up with the stuff that I come up with from my Let's Plays, especially for months. That is something. That is something that possibly nobody else could possibly do. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they could, but they never thought of, well, I do this for this, and I do that for that, and everything else. So it's not like I don't like to do this. I love to do, certain games for this month. I mean, if I want to do Mega Man for March, I do Mega Man for March. If I want to do Super Robot Tyson for March, which I am, I do it for March. If I don't really want to do the usual Super Robot Tyson games, I do the other games, the ones that aren't related to Super Robot Tyson, but they have the characters that are in the series or something to that extent. It's not a problem. I don't mind doing it because, hey, if it's easier on me, then it's okay with me. Requests sometimes can be a pain to deal with. And requests are something that kind of wears on me sometimes, especially if you're doing certain games that will cause you to basically strain your brain. Because I'll be honest, there are some games I'm just not really all that well and good at, but I try. And however way it gets done, I'm just gonna make sure it gets done and just say, okay, it's done. I don't want to do this no more. So yeah, here it is. It's documented right there. black and blue, bam, there you go. There's your request right there. So I try to make as much as I can with said requests, because it's kind of like you need to have a certain kind of energy for these kind of things. It's not like, oh, I can't do this, oh, I want to do that, and da 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 da. I mean, I can always say, I don't want to do it. And, say, no, you have to do it. So, yeah, I have to do it. Sometimes I feel like I do not want to do it. I just do not have the energy. I do not want to be dealing with, that kind of stress and whatnot, just because the time I use, it kind of takes a lot, because, as being an LPer, it is kind of mainly wear and tear. And I've been through like 3 different. If I mentioned this before, I'm sorry, but I went through 3 different kinds of controllers. One was like a Super Nintendo. The other one was a wireless, and the third one, I kind of busted the right D-pad on it, so now I'm using analog. So that's just saying something. That's just telling me I would have to get a new one pretty soon. And this one, let that D-pad be in and not out. And make sure that the buttons, are, of course, just, there. Aside from that, like I said, I do not mind being an LPer. The one thing I like to do very often is I like to entertain. And there are certain people who would show up during the day, and they feel like, they missed something or whatever. Thing is, it's not a bad thing if you miss it. I mean, most times I don't really get that much comments, because, well, I just don't. I really don't get that much comments. I don't get like 5-6 comments just pouring in on a daily basis. I mean, although it would be nice, but it's just not in the cards right now. I mean, I'm not that well known. I mean, I'm barely over 200. And I'm hoping and praying that I stay over 200 this time around and lose more than I gained, just because of what I'm doing. It's just that simple for me. And, aside from that, LPing is not all I do. It really isn't. You see, outside of LPing, I'm actually an author, and my first book is out. So what I'm doing a lot of times when I'm doing this is promoting my book. And usually, when I'm promoting my book, wow, that's some feedback. That's some jarring feedback. I never thought that would be powerful, but man, that's a powerful feedback. I still been. Anyway, about what I am. Yes, I'm an author outside of LPing, so yes, I do have a job. And the one thing I'm doing mainly is I'm doing a lot of promotions. And in my line of work, promotions are always a good thing, because the more people listen, the more influence you have, and the more money comes in, so you can have more. So basically my first book is out, so therefore, yeah, I'm expecting people to buy it. But in order let me say this more clear and coherent. In order for more people to buy it, I have to promote it. That's what I have to do. Because I've already done the hard stuff, which is writing up the book. And then you gotta pay for it being done. And then after that, after it's done, then you gotta pass it out and make promotional sales and everything else. So you can see that I'm trying to basically do that. I'm basically trying to make sure that my book gets out, that word gets out that I have a book. That people like you will be willing to buy said book. And as I tried to mention before in my last recording, because I don't know why I lost my voice. Really, I lost the track again. I'm thinking of getting a new headset. Really, I should get a new headset. Or at least a mic. If I get myself a mic, I'm just gonna get the mic. Shoot, fuck it, I don't care. But aside from that, I had another thing to talk about, but, it will be saved for another time, because I don't really want to just go into this and this and this and, go on a tangent. And then talk about, this and that and this and that. But one thing that needs to be said, though, is that as an LPer, it is kind of hard for me sometimes, because I often find myself up at these time of nights, or rather these kind of mornings, and whenever I'm doing this, I get kind of tired. But like I said, there are some games that I don't mind doing every once in a while, but these games, like I say, to this day, I've only done one game that was pretty much the longest I've ever done in my short career as an LPer, and that is Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin on Sega CD. I've actually covered every part of that game, and let me tell you, that is an accomplishment. I mean, just to sit there and actually talk through for about 3 solid hours about this one game, how to get through it, where to find all the comic books, get all the comic books, get to every area, find every boss, how to deal with every boss, and of course, showing how to beat every boss and showing endings via save state. It is not that easy. Trust me, it is not that easy, and it's just one of those games in which I can say it's just going to be one sit down that I will just do, and we'll never speak of this again. So, there you have it. And like I said, I like to do this because, I like to entertain people. After a hard day, maybe, they might want a little something to, kind of help, raise the spirits. That's what I'm here for. I feel that what I'm doing as an LPer is just a little notch on my belt to help service those who are in a terrible mood or something like that. Because if it's just not there, and you're not feeling it, there you go. I tried. I'm just gonna tell you like it is. I've had my share of hate Trust me, when I first started as an LPer, I had my share of hate. Didn't want to deal with it. I wanted to block them, delete it. Block any kind of message, delete it, and everything else that went on with it. And then, as I grew, it kind of made me grow as a person, and confidence. That confidence kind of built up inside me, and I've started using said confidence. So to me, being an LPer, it has suddenly built confidence to my well-being and made me a better person, because I can say whatever I feel I should say, and I'm playing a game, or I'm doing a vlog, or whatever. And basically, I'm just saying what's the first thing on my mind. And, like I said, I said this before my last video, which never got any audio feedback, but I'm saying it on this video: if you don't like what I do, just go somewhere else. Go fuck yourself. Just don't tell me to shut up just because you're an idiot. Just because you don't like my voice. That's petty. Or you don't like the way I look. That's also petty. I mean, shit. We're all not the same. I can accept that. Especially the fact that I'm also handicapped. Well, no, not handicapped, but disabled. Somewhat disabled. But I can use both hands, thank God. And I can get up on my own 2 feet. And I'm thankful for that, too. I'm thankful for still being alive, of all things. And, I'm sorry, but, if you don't like what I do, then go somewhere else. But don't tell me, shut up or something like that. Because either 2 things will happen. You will either get reported, or you'll be flagged as spam, or otherwise. But, just don't do it. You show ignorance to me, I show ignorance to you. But I will show it in a more diplomatic way. And tell you that you're an idiot. So just don't do it. I mean, I have people... And what was Bill stumbling on? Anyway, I have people that, I usually hang out with. And when I mean hang out, I mean I'm usually on Skype with them. And this is my gaming group, which is Random Co-op. And Random Co-op is basically just this: either 2 of us are playing a game, or one of us is playing a game, and we're providing co-commentary. And it doesn't matter, because it's all about having a good time with some good friends. And that's what's important. I mean, if they feel, I had a bad day, well, look, I'll pick out something that I'm gonna play. You can help me with the commentary and everything else. So it's not like it's a bad thing. So it's, it's like 4 people, 3 guys, 1 girl, that sort of thing. Nothing dirty, just that sort of thing. I mean, it goes without saying, I put a lot of time and effort in what I do, and I'm kind of glad that what I do kind of, helps people understand that I'm not just a person. I'm not here all the time. I'm not just playing games just for my amusement. I am playing a game for my amusement, but I'm also playing it just because I feel like it. I do it because I want to do it, not because I have to do it. I mean, this is free entertainment. You can't get free entertainment these days. You have to usually pay for it. So be grateful that, the many LPers out there who are doing the same thing that I'm doing is actually giving their time and their energy and everything else to entertain you. I mean, there are plenty other people out there who will probably say the same thing as I would. And I know most will agree with me that, it's not easy being who we are. We're gamers. And we're not the most perfect people in the world. We make mistakes. We don't like to make mistakes, but we make mistakes anyway, because we're flawed. We try our best, though, not to make too many mistakes. So that is the most important thing. I mean, I salute to many LPers who have been there, past and present. From those I watch, from those who I don't watch. I mean, they work just as hard as I do. And for me to actually do something like this, for me to take my time and say what I feel is on my mind is most important to me, that says a lot. And, for people to actually leave comments, that's a good thing too, because, I welcome comments. Whether it's on my channel or on my videos, it doesn't matter. It's always a good thing just to say, oh, well, I heard what you said earlier, and I just want to let you know, blah, 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 that sort of thing. But, like I said, I stand up for those who can't seem to stand on their own. I offer them a shoulder to cry on. Or a shoulder that they can stand up on after a really rough day. And make them feel a lot better. Whatever I can do to help, that's what I like to do. I mean, as an LPer, I do that. No, not as an LPer, but as a person. I have a code of ethics I follow. And that is, basically, I follow the universal rule: harm none, respect all. And be responsible for what you do, and share whatever effort you have for the greater good. And that's usually what I like to do. I usually like to follow those 3 rules. Those are my top 3 rules of ethics that I want to follow. I mean, I'm doing this for my effort, and not only that, but for greater effort, so that people would understand this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, with all that being said, I think I have said enough. But yeah, I'm proud of who I am. I'm a nerd, geek, an otaku, a gamer, but I'm also myself. I've been through a lot in my life, and being the first in my family as an author, as well as a online personality, that says a lot. And I would trade nothing for that, because that's how it's gonna be. Simple as that. I mean, I'm gonna be here for a very long time, or at least until my kids, or at least until I get kids. Then you will have somebody else to listen to, and somebody else to watch, but I will still be around. But anyway, I of course have been the Tenkaichi of gaming, the underdog of the underrated, and the one and only Ichigo Musko, or as you see it on my channel, PookieIzzy7. And please, please, whatever you do, don't stop gaming. And with that, continue to support my efforts, and whatever it is that I do, I really do appreciate it. And with that, I have said enough. And the Tenkaichi has spoken, and I am, of course, out.